So let's get some analysis on all of this. Haiyan Wang is in the studio to talk more about this visit. She's the managing partner of China-India Institute. As you look at the landscape, I mean, he was in Seattle, Washington, D.C., big address at the UN. What do you think are the major achievements or highlights?
Indeed, it was quite a packed trip, and I think it's a very fruitful and productive trip. And I think that his accomplishment is in both enhancing the bilateral U.S.-China relationships, but also in putting forward a lot of global initiatives that will have long-lasting impacts on peace, on development, and on climate change. And some of the major accomplishments, I think that one is climate change. Really, China is taking the leadership, taking a partnership with the U.S., two of the biggest emitters, to really address climate change. And this joint commitment from the U.S. and China could pave ways for a successful climate deal in December in Paris. That's one. Two, I think that he really diffused some of the tensions on cybersecurity. Before President Xi's trip, there was quite a bit of a tension on cybersecurity. I think that the joint commitment and the understanding that we stand side by side to fight cyber theft we are against cyber theft for economic interests. And I think that this clear stance calmed some minds. It should help with promoting technology transfers, should promote economic cooperation. Followed up on the economic cooperation front, and I think that he gave some momentum to achieving the bilateral investment treaty to open up more sectors and even accelerating, clearing some of the mechanisms for renminbi to be traded in the U.S. And then, of course, on the global initiatives, a lot of things that he put forward was just very eye-opening.
You know, I had one analyst on this week who was talking about the tensions, and you touched on it, between these two countries. And clearly, when these two presidents sat there and kind of addressed the press during their press conference, you could tell that Obama staked out one position and President Xi staked out another. And this analyst was saying, actually, that's a good thing, that they're not papering over their differences, that both clearly have different points of view, and at least they're stating their cases to one another, and that the conversation is going on, that's actually a good thing. Would you agree?
I think so, because you cannot expect two leaders from two major powers. On the one hand, there is the side of cooperation. On the other hand, there is competition there between the two major powers, and it is only very natural. But what it is good that people hear clearly what are we in agreement with on climate change, on cybersecurity, on improving international governance, on promoting development, on global security, on promoting prosperity, on these major issues that U.S. and China have to stand side by side, and to our interests and to the global interests. But on the other hand, there are issues regarding, for example, geopolitical issues in South China Sea, and the wordings are clearly somewhat different. And it is only natural, as long as the two presidents have the candid conversations as they did over lunch, as long as they made that difference clear, and I think that is a good thing.
It's an important relationship. There's cooperation, there's competitiveness as well. Yes. But this is a presidential election, and as you know, having sat through these a few times, this is when things get ugly, and there's a lot of mudslinging towards China and that sort of thing. How is that going to influence or impact this very important relationship?
Well, there was always, this bashing on China during the campaign. I think President Obama was tough on China during some of his campaign languages, but then his policy was much more moderate, pragmatic. And let's hope that the next U.S. president will also adopt that pragmatism, cooperative stance once he sits in the White House. Now, in terms of leadership change, there will be leadership change in 2016 and a new president in the U.S., and then 2017 in the office. But there will also be leadership change in China in 2017. President Xi and Premier Li will clearly be still in a leadership role, but there are possibly several permanent members of the Standing Committee of the Politburo. There might be changes. On the other hand, I think that there will be more consistency, continuity of China's policies regarding U.S. and regarding globally international relations.
We're just about out of time, so maybe 20 seconds.
Yes.
Your thoughts on his speech, major address, talking about this multipolar world,
yes.
equal respect for the large countries and the small countries, an important message.
That is a very important message. I think that is a very clear voice regarding how China intends to play the role as a responsible global partner, as a superpower. And I think that, again, it makes very clear that he stands for principles in terms of international relations, win-win cooperation, no confrontation, no conflict, and that we're going to have mutual respect, that not going to seek hegemony and not to seek spheres of influence, not to seek alliance, but partnerships. And this makes it very clear about where China stands as a global partner, responsible partner.
Haiyan Wang, thanks so much for coming in and providing your analysis. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you so much.